And interestingly, and I told this story another day when I was speaking on a panel, is in life, make sure you have tormentors and you make sure you have mentors.
Imagine just share this CTA. You can't be getting all this value and you're watching this alone. You truly don't know people until you take the time out to get to know people. Zal, this is such a valuable life story. I'm using your life journey to extract value in different aspects and facets of your life and then apply it to my own life, my business, CTA, just understanding, okay, so this, that, the other. So brand assets. Just talk about this thing that is created, because before this story, you've not been using the word brand assets. Safaricom then creates
It's a new
this
thing.
And they make you the head of brand assets.
No, it's already existing.
Okay,
it's a new thing.
Okay.
The then Wangari Murugu, who I give credit to for some of the best campaigns in Safaricom, Nikona was done under her, the brand thematic. She was very visionary in terms of, okay, so we have to create certain things. And so she started this new role called brand assets, which is, see, sponsorship is you partnering with somebody in a property they have. So when I come and tell you, I want to be a part of CTA and I'm going to give you money for it or value in kind or whatever, I am taking on a sponsorship relationship with you.
Yeah.
But brand asset, so CTA is your brand asset.
Yes.
You've created it to be your own. So brand assets were things Safaricom was going to create for itself from scratch, which is how now Sakata Ball, Kenya Live, Chapa Dimba, Nikona Safaricom Live came about. Those were the brand assets.
And what I seem to hear, there was two major focuses. You were going through sports and music.
Yes, those are the two big. That there was an investment in sports and an investment in music. Sports was Safaricom Sevens, athletics, Safaricom Athletics Series. The time was Sakata Ball. So we were in football, we were in rugby, we were in athletics, which again were the top 3 most loved sports in the country.
Chapadimba?
Football. Chapadimba is, so Sakata Ball happened first.
Okay, so Chapadimba comes after.
Yes, comes after, revamped. Sakata Ball was stopped just because of some foolishness.
Wait, is Sakata Ball the one which used to be at RUF grounds or just next to it?
Yes, that's the one that we played the finals or was supposed to launch. And on the morning of the launch, somebody wanted a lot of money for it to continue happening. And Bob said, cancel this thing if they're going to think we're going to pay money.
No way.
Yeah, that's how Sakata Ball.
So you went and partnered with somebody?
No, maybe it's not for me to tell that story, but it's not the partner.
Okay. Ah, man. They just saw an opportunity to make chums.
Yeah, and people were, it was almost like, if you don't pay us, you're not launching. So we said, fine, we're not launching.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. That's how, again, I wasn't there, so I'm probably not telling the story the way it is. But I do remember guys saying the launch is cancelled. And I said, what do you mean? And we were told, yep, it's not happening.
So by the time you're in this position, Bob has joined. When did Bob join?
2010.
I don't rewind. That's such a huge thing. So where are we in this story? What year? Help me.
2012.
Okay, then let's go back to 2010. How can we even dare forget that?
2010. Because I'll never forget when I went on to give birth to my third born, I didn't think I was coming back to Safaricom because I thought, hey, who have they brought us? I was so upset that because Bob and I didn't see eye to eye when we first met. In fact, I remember when Bob came. So
why was Michael leaving? His tenure had come to an end.
Yeah, and I think he just wanted to progress to the next. It was time.
Okay.
And the greatest leaders know you leave when the applause is loudest.
Okay.
And he understood that. And so did Bob.
So it's not like a president where you get 10-year term and you're out.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he was just like, hey, I want to move to my next, I think. But bring Michael and he'll tell you.
Okay.
Have him in this. Michael has stories for days.
Yeah.
So Bob was brought in, and I remember Bob decided to do one-on-ones with a couple of team members in all levels to understand the company, TC, and I was one of them. And I remember going and sitting in this meeting room and being asked questions, and I answered them. And at the end of the conversation, Bob said to me, I don't know what you do. And I know events is not where I'm going to spend my money. I think it's a waste of money. He said a couple of things and I left. And I remember being pregnant and I was like, hey. I remember going home and telling my husband, we'll stick it out for the next 5 months because they can't throw me out when I'm maternity. I'm at home anyway. Might as well collect the salo. But I did my CV and I thought genuinely. And I remember my friend in the same compound, her name was Grace. God rest her soul in peace. She worked for Kenya Power. I told her, I don't think I have a job. Can you help me find another job? And so we started redoing my CV and stuff because I genuinely believe Bob didn't want that department and didn't care. And I didn't think he wanted me because I was seen as such a Michael person anyway. And that happens. When a new CEO comes in, there's always the people that weren't loyal and no one in corporate should cheat you that doesn't happen. So of course I was seen very much as a Michael person. So I think maybe that had a lot. I don't know, but I was like, wacha nikae kwa nyumba, and then I don't think so imagine my shock, Richie, when I'm on maternity and I'm told when you come back you're going to be promoted, and I'm like, what are you people smoking? As far as I know, I was going home to be. But I then took over the brand assets role then in April 2011. But yes, so let me explain my time with Bob, because I don't think for the first year and a half, I thought I would survive Bob and that he liked me and I didn't like him either.
What?
Completely. I was like, I hope he goes. That's the truth, because I was like, I even remember crying once. I went to Michael Joseph's office and I'm like, who have you brought us? Because Bob started restructuring and all of that stuff.
So what did you like about him? What is it that he was doing that you're just like, man, what are you this guy doing?
To be honest, because of him saying he didn't think my department needed to be there, what we did was meaningful to the company. He thought we were a waste of money and our work was to spend money. And then Richie, it didn't help that all the events were not going well in his time at the beginning. So what had happened is...
So what had happened was...
Hey! Everything that could go wrong when Bob took over in my space did. It was like the devil was working overtime. We had the Safaricom Center that then became the Michael Joseph Center. It had the exhibition of 10 years of Safaricom.
Yeah.
And there was a spelling mistake on it, and the person in my team who was approving, and by extension me, hadn't seen the spelling mistake. Please ask me whose name was misspelled.
Whose name was Mr. Collymore?
Yes. So instead of a double L, it was a 1L.
Yeah.
And it was noticed on the night of the launch by a customer. Hey, Richie. I went home knowing this is it.
Can't even spell your boss's name.
Yeah. Thank God I had no car or anything, because I didn't have to drive out. I was just going to be escorted out of the building with no car. And then Michael Joseph staff farewell event at Carnival, it flooded. There was just a river going through it. It was a mess. It was just anything that could. So whatever Bob felt about what we were doing,
you just added.
Was just showing practically his leg. You see? Yeah, this is why I don't like what you people did. And then came about Kenyans for Kenya. Kenyans for Kenyans.
Oh, he was there at that time?
The campaign. It was, he started that campaign.
But wasn't that a successful campaign?
Huge. But that's where the turning point and his respect for me and my respect for him came about.
So did you used to talk?
We did, because we had to. Kazi ni kazi.
So reporting structure, had you gotten the level where you're reporting to him?
No, I was reporting to my then boss, Rita Okuth, and then...
Okay.
No, sorry, Wangari first, and then Bob.
Then Bob.
No, me, Wangari, Peterina, Bob. So me, I'm here. We're never interacting. We're interacting when there are floods and spelling mistakes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What was he like a boss? So I think
no.
Bob,
at the beginning, no nonsense. Hey, Richie, we learned very quickly this man is a no nonsense. There's no difference between. It's funny, at heart, that big teddy bear heart, soft, him and Michael share the same heart. Because they would cry at the same moments. Let me tell you guys something, and you know you have a good boss when they're not afraid to cry in public. And I've seen both of those men cry because they're touched. The best of the best leaders are the ones who are not afraid to show that emotion. And I've seen both of them cry. I watched Bob cry at Kenyatta National Hospital when we had gone to see the children's pediatric ward, and just watching those kids suffer, and he cried. And Michael in another era in the same hospital when we went to build a play area for the kids because they didn't have one, and Michael walking in and just crying because children should not suffer like that. And you realize, my goodness, I work with leaders who are tough people every day in the boardroom. They will kick ass, and then when the human side checks in, they're not afraid to be human. And Richie, I thank God that I worked with people like that, because a true leader is that. For me, that was, I never looked up to those men because the numbers on the PowerPoint were big. I looked up to those men because we would walk into Kenyatta National Hospital and leave paying people's bills because that's what they wanted us to do. That for me was the Safaricom I love. That is the reason we woke up every day, was to say, whose life are we changing today? Richie, you've gone in to transform a ward, but you leave sending all those children, 17, 18 kids, the bills are 3 million shillings. And you're told by end of day, these children should go home to their parents.
Wow.
That for me was the reason Safaricom, I stuck.
And that's not making it to the newspapers?
No. What made it to the newspapers is a 1% of what actually happened on ground. Richie, the kind of things we're doing, you're giving school books to a school in Savo. I remember we went with David Sheldrick I'm telling you, Richie, when I talk about Safaricom, I talk about it from such a loving point of view, because whereas it's not all kumbaya for me, there were moments that really would have killed me, destroyed me from a career perspective, even spiritual, emotional, and those were phases. There were less of that and more of these big, beautiful moments. But even I remember we donated a school bus to a school in Savo that had never actually gone inside the park. And for the first time, these kids entered a bus to go and see elephants and lions in a park that they'd only ever heard about their parents working inside. And when you sit in this 33-seater bus with these kids and they're screaming when they're seeing lions because they've never seen them other than what the teacher is showing them on a textbook. And now they have this bus and they can go inside the park. And then you've gone to donate the bus, but then you're with your CEO and you're touring the school, and there's a library, but there are no books in the library, and he tells you, I'm approving 300,000, go and buy books and make sure this school has books. A library must be full of books for these kids. So those are the moments that never made it into the newspaper. That's not what it was about. It was about, this is what we're going to do.
And even that can't be told in that manner that you've just told it. You know, even if you hear Safaricom donated books and bus to a school,
it feels so textbook,
exactly.
No pun intended. It feels like so made for, please, here is the check, please hand over the check so we can be seen. The checks and stuff, I think, are maybe 50% of what you'd actually see. We did so much across the country. The silent hospital bills that were paid, the generators that were put in children's homes because they didn't have hot water to shower at 5 in the morning, the solar-powered charging stations put in schools so that teachers could have computers to teach kids technology. Half of that stuff has never been... I mean, there's so many stories to tell.
And you know, you have 25 years of experience. So, so
22,
to be honest,
22.
Okay, 22 still.
But there was such, I mean, Richie, I could sit here for days. I could sit here for days and tell you how there were such beautiful stories to be told. And everybody was, I don't think we ever discussed revenue. I don't remember sitting in any meeting where, and maybe that was not my role, and I love and appreciate that was somebody else's role, and that's what they had to wake up every day and worry about numbers. But it was always about how were we going to help our country be better every single day.
So the Kenyans for Kenyans, I'm
Yes.
coming to that. So what happens if that changes your...
I think just the way we both worked, what I saw Bob
And explain
wanted
to somebody what Kenyans for Kenyans is.
Kenyans for Kenyans was a campaign started by a group of people. There was Joshua Egara, Gina Din, Bob Collymore, Sanda, all these guys who came together and said, hey, we need to do something for the famine that's in North Kenya. And so instead of corporates pouring money, why don't we get our fellow Kenyans to come in, and every shilling matters. And people that campaign just took off. It blew up overnight, literally.
Then only possible because of MPESA.
And you could even send money to KCB accounts and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it was telling Kenyans that your shilling matters, whether you have 10 shillings or 10 million. It wasn't, again, KCB and EABL and Safaricom and Kenya was giving their big checks as usual. It was, Richie has 10 shillings and he wants to support his fellow Kenyan. How do we enable him through that? And that was the campaign, Kenyans for Kenya. So my interaction with Bob was very much, Sanda was the project lead. She was helping coordinate the operations. Ojambo, yeah. Who was in the Safaricom Foundation then as a colleague of mine. And then Marianne Wishiku was running the comms. I was running the event side. So we were a steerco of immediate people who were running the everyday operations. Our meetings were 5:30 in the morning every day, Richie. Every single day, 5:30, we'd meet before Sanda would go to Bob's office at 7 in the morning to report on how the day, what we were doing. Remember, there were concerts at Uhuru Park.
Yeah.
There was fundraisings at Serena. There was people coming to drop things at Safaricom. People who didn't have money, but maybe they had beans they had harvested. We were getting all of that. In the Meru shop, somebody was dropping a gunia of maize because they had harvested that. They wanted to send that to North Kenya. So there was all of that. So my interaction with the Bob had ended up becoming one of love and respect, because I saw a side of a man that perhaps I hadn't seen in a way that I did during the campaign, where genuinely he wanted to just do something. And then he saw a side of me that was just like, let's get this done. Whatever Bob asked was done. And he was like, hey, he fell in love with events after that. He's like this. He fell in love with events after that.
That's the thing. I'm in shock that of what you just said.
No.
Because in his era, events was eventing.
Yes. And actually, funny enough, a lot of them start off like that. All my interactions have been where my side of the world, which is brand experience, is seen as a spender rather than as a giver. But then the ones who truly know what it can, I think only Michael Joseph might have truly understood. And that's why he gave that side of marketing so much time and budget, because he knew, as Kenyans, we love this. We don't, Richie, me, I must see you on a Friday night if you're my friend. We must kula nyama together. Our families must holiday. We are just a very touchy feeling kind of society. So, and Michael Joseph understood that in order for people to love the brand, he's got to take the brand on ground. It's not just going to be ad. We did the most beautiful, iconic ads, but Michael knew that would take us this far. This would take us this far.
Oh, wow.
So
that's true.
So, but then somebody like Bob who came in and was like, I'm cutting all budgets. This is rubbish. You guys are spending, and then he saw the brand value going down and he was like, hey. Then it went up again during Kenyans for Kenya, and he was like, put money back in the brand. And then started giving us money to run things like Nikona and Safaricom Sevens and the amount of money, Jazz and Athletic Series and the amount of things we were sponsoring. If Michael, and I speak so much about the two gentlemen, and I have to say, I've been extremely fortunate to work with some amazing leaders. The ones that stand out for me are women like Gina Din and Sylvia Mulinge. And I will come to what I picked up from Sylvia Mulinge. And each CEO has taught me really, I told you the lesson I learned from Gina. From Michael, I learned impossible is nothing.
Say it again. From Gina, you learned kindness.
Kindness.
Yes.
Yeah, that you don't have to yell to be heard. That just being nice, just being good to people. Still, that was such a aha moment to me. I remember she wrote a post-it note on my and left it on my desk with a polite request for something. And I looked at it and I was like, who's written this? Who's telling me what to do? Kind of thing. And then somebody was like, oh, Gina would like you to have. I was like, oh, you mean a CEO can be nice and write a nice note like this? I hadn't interacted with that, right? From Michael, I learned impossible is. Michael taught me if I can dream it, I can make it happen. From Bob, I learned, hey, mediocre is unacceptable. Hey, yeah. With Bob, where mediocre was not acceptable. Bob taught me two things actually. From a work perspective, Bob taught me mediocre is unacceptable. We were just not allowed to be. Hey, the chief sound went off. Hey.
Excellence is the name of the game.
Those 10,000 hours, he told us, don't come to me until you. So mediocrity, it's not that he didn't forgive it, but he needed to know that you had given it everything before you failed. And that, Bob would be your biggest supporter if you knew you did everything possible. But if you are mediocre, don't walk into the room. And the other thing I learned was never to apologize for being a woman. Bob taught me how to embrace being a mother, having kids, and never apologizing for that.
What?
Yeah. I'm telling you, Bobby. Bob announced my pregnancy, my fourth one, in front of a management forum, and I wanted to just crawl. But he just celebrated us for being women. In fact, Bob wanted to make sure that at EXCO level, women were 50-50.
In fact, I saw that change.
Yeah.
I saw the change in that level.
He wanted a lot more women in decision making. We had voices. And not that we did in Michael's time, but I think for me, remember now I'm a young mother who is still in that thing of, are my children, are my work-life balance, all of that stuff it's still a battle I'm having within myself. And I remember my conversations with Bob were like, hey, stop apologizing. Bring your kids, put them in the crash. When you need to take a break, go hang out with them, breastfeed at work. I really learned the power of being a woman under that man. I did from my parents and from my mother specifically, but when somebody who owes you nothing in a corporate life is telling you, I love you because you have the power to be a woman. You being a woman is your power, is what Bob taught me.
Wow. Hearing you say that with the backdrop of Sylvia and seeing that, and also just seeing the influence of women rising within Safaricom during his time,
And just seeing, I then started reporting to Sylvia in 2015, August.
Before we get to that, 2012 must have been hard for you. Is that when you lose your mom?
2015.
Oh, 2015. Okay.
2012 was hard because I was reporting to somebody who didn't want me there. And she frustrated the life out of me. She was a tormentor. And I say this with a lot of... And interestingly, and I told this story another day when I was speaking on a panel, is in life, make sure you have tormentors and you make sure you have mentors. And mentors are meant to be there for long. Your tormentor, keep them for a short while. My tormentor was the biggest. Funny enough, and Richie, it doesn't make sense when I say it, but 2012 was the year I became HOD, and it was the most grueling time of my life because she didn't want me in the position, she didn't enable it. And I'm speaking from a lot of space of respect because she's the same woman who actually gave me my biggest shift in corporate life thinking, and my pivot moment came under her. As much as I cried the most under her and wanted to leave Safaricom under her, my biggest growth factor came that under her in 2012 into 2013.
What it prepared you for HOD?
It prepared me for HOD, a position she didn't want me to be in either. But she didn't make life easy for me, but I persevered through that. And now, interestingly, we can talk to each other. We're not friends. I don't see her often, but we have a mutual respect now.
Wow.
But yeah, it was So it was a very tormenting moment, pivotal in the sense that, yes, I took this big seat and I became HOD, but it nearly killed me.
So was it as HOD or was it before you get to HOD that this tormenting is happening?
It's happening from the time, a couple of months after she becomes my boss. This shift comes on. I'm not sure what's driving it. I'm still senior manager. There's a lot of roughness coming towards what I felt was me specifically, to a point where I felt like I was being driven out. That would have been easier for me to leave. And I did. I actually wrote my resignation twice.
What?
And wasn't allowed to submit it by the people around me.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Twice.
How do you stay? How do you not make that decision when you're in the fire? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like, you're talking about this period of time where life is hell, but it could have short-circuited this next.
Colleagues who are friends who are like, it's not your time to go. You don't leave for a person, you leave for something better. And you're not leaving to go anywhere. What do you mean you're going to leave because you're frustrated? But I was rock bottom. But I remember two specific moments. One of them, who was a fellow EXCO member, to her, called me into his office and he said, it's not like we can't see what's going on. Give it time before the end of this year. Now we're in 2015. He's like, just relax. We're just going to ask you to hold on a little bit longer. The one in 2013 was actually at an event where I was blamed for something that wasn't my fault at all. I was nowhere near the thing that had happened. But because I was the one in charge, I was blamed for everything. And then the message sent back to the office was that I had created this moment that resulted in a... Anyway, so I came back on Monday and I actually went to her office and I said, you've blamed me for something on Saturday that wasn't my fault. I was nowhere near that, and actually it's the decisions you took that resulted in that moment, despite me and you having the conversation where I told you I don't think it's a good idea for us to go on as you had wanted, but you, despite that, you listened to the supplier over me, and now the supplier messed up and you want me to take responsibility for it. And I said, I am taking the responsibility because I am the leader in the space. It is my space in which this has happened, but if you want me to resign, you need to just let me know. There's no reason to play this game back and forth. And because I'd had it, Richard, I had nothing to lose.
Wow.
And it was not insubordination or anything, but I had come to a point where I wanted to give her what it is she wanted, which was to leave. And her tone changed. And I was like, what are we doing? This is Jekyll and Hyde. So, but yeah, so there was twice in my life I was going.
Did her tone change completely throughout now after that? Or it just changed for that moment?
I think I think she slowed down, but it didn't. Things didn't change.
So what
the punches were no longer coming.
Okay.
Look, and if you put her on this seat, she might have had a reason. I don't know. But I know I was not her candidate of choice for HOD position. She already had somebody else she wanted in the shoes. I was chosen. She was overridden for me for the position. I don't think any of that helped.
Okay.
But it is what it is. But again, like I said, I've not carried those feelings into, oh my God, I wish you'd crawl up and suffer. No.
Yeah.
I think in all of that, in all moments of ups and downs, you have to take decisions that are right for you. And I think had I walked out, I would have walked out for the wrong reasons. And they were right as well. When you come to mental health, for well-being, for sanity, they were the right decision. But from a career perspective, I don't know what that would have meant.
Yeah. So you become HOD of what now?
HOD events and sponsorships.
So
2013.
But there was a point you were brands.
Senior manager, brand assets and sponsorships.
So I want
then becomes HOD events and sponsorships. All of that I've already been doing is still there.
Yes,
it's just that the position has been called event.
But you see, like now when you
event sponsorships and brand assets would have been too long.
But hear this, when you are, and this for me is a pivotal one, because people say government is corrupt. I'm like, government are people.
Its people are corrupt. It's not the system.
And
The people are the system.
Government does business with people. You get? Government does business not with itself. It does business with corporate Kenya. Now, the kind of money that Safaricom makes, corruption is not non-existent in this company as well. This one I'm asking for you, and I'm trying to find out. What you control was an element called sponsorship. It is your job to give out money or not money per se, but to facilitate the thing that people need to do. Did you ever get into a situation that was, first of all, were you ever tempted? Did people ever come to you and be like, there's a school I'm building, but I'm not really building a school, just put a little bit of something in there?